Zhao Yuqing's response was like an invitation. Shang Jiyu couldn't help it anymore. He suddenly tore her clothes. In this way, Shang Jiyu had asked for Zhao Yuqing many times. He did not know how long he had not been as crazy as he was now. He vaguely remembered that the woman who was pregnant 6 years ago gave him such a crazy night. Zhao Yuqing gradually came to her senses. Seeing such a messy scene in front of her, she was ashamed and angry. This man is taking advantage of me. Zhao Yuqing struggled to resist as she thought about it. She remembered what this man had once said, that he would let her sleep with him for a night with 500,000 yuan. In his subconscious, he had already regarded her as that kind of woman, so he thought that he could fall in love with her at will. Get lost. Zhao Yuqing was completely angry this time. She could tolerate anything, but he had touched her bottom line and insulted her self-esteem. Shang Jiyu had fallen into a deep sleep. It was obvious that he had reacted to Zhao Yuqing's nonsense. Zhao Yuqing also seemed to feel the obvious change and was shocked. She was indeed a pervert who could get into a relationship anywhere. Get out of here. Zhao Yuqing roared again. Her little face was full of anger and shyness. But there seemed to be a trace of hatred in her bright eyes. Shang Jiyu's body had already reacted, so how could he listen to her? As he thought about it, he pounced on her. Suddenly, the smell of lily permeated the air. No matter how hard she struggled, she couldn't break free. Her long eyelashes were covered with sweat, and she bit her lips tightly. In the end, Shang Jiyu still got what he wanted. Until the end, Zhao Yuqing bit her lips tightly and didn't say a word. Her clear eyes were a little hollow. At this moment, she was so helpless. After that, Zhao Yuqing put on her clothes, took Shang Jiyu's coat, opened the door, and got out of the car. Shang Jiyu grabbed Zhao Yuqing's arm with a complicated expression in his eyes. Is this woman dressed like this in the middle of the night? Let go. No one knew where Zhao Yuqing got the strength, so she shook off Shang Jiyu's hand. She quickly got out of the car and took her bag before leaving. I hate you. With these words, Zhao Yuqing left without looking back. Shang Jiyu looked at Zhao Yuqing's back. Her back was so proud, so stubborn, and there seemed to be a hint of sadness in it. There was an impulse at that moment that Shang Jiyu wanted to catch up with her. He held her in his arms, gently comforted her, and told her. If he had not wanted her just now, she would have died. Therefore, he had saved her just now. But he knew that with this woman's unyielding character, she would definitely say that even if she died, she would not let him touch her. Even if he had to do such a thing in order to save her at the beginning. But what happened just now? Just now, she was clearly awake, but he still insisted on taking her away. Did he dare to say that he didn't possess her for his own desire? The moment Zhao Yuqing got out of the car, she couldn't help but burst into tears. Her body hurt, and her heart hurt even more. She didn't want to see Shang Jiyu, nor did she want to go to the Sheng group. But where was she going to borrow the 1 million yuan penalty? In fact, if she borrowed Zhang Meiyun's words, she would definitely agree, but Zhao Muqing couldn't open her mouth. In fact, she could also borrow money from O Mufeng. For so many years, she had borrowed plenty of his money. But it seemed that he was angry because of her return to China. Zhang Lingyun? Forget it. I can't even open my mouth. She left without saying goodbye 6 years ago. How could she have the nerve to borrow money from him now? Zhao Yuqing didn't know how to go back. She quietly walked into the room. Seeing that the 2 children had fallen asleep, Zhao Yuqing went to the bathroom with peace of mind. Zhang Weiyun felt at ease when she saw Zhao Yuqing coming back. In fact, just now, Shang Jiyu called and said that she had come back. Seeing her messy clothes, Zhang Meiyun was shocked. Zhang Weiyun didn't expect that Shang Jiyu would do such a thing to Zhao Yuqing. In her impression, Shang Jiyu rarely looked for women. However, he touched her. Did he fall in love with Zhao Yuqing? In the bathroom, Zhao Yuqing looked at her bruises and could not help but smile bitterly. This was the witness of her shame. No matter how hard she tried to wash it, it couldn't be washed away. If it was dirty, it was dirty. She even felt that she was dirtier than 6 years ago. No one knew how long she had been bathing until she was too tired to open her eyes. Then she fell asleep in the bathroom. Because of the uneasiness in her heart, even though she was very tired, she woke up very early. After getting up, she checked the time, put on her clothes, and went out. When she arrived at the children's room, she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the two children were sleeping and did not find anything. She kissed the faces of the two children and then went to cook for them. Zhao Yaqing took a leave and didn't go to the company, while Zhang Weiyun went to work early. In the large villa, Zhao Yaqing was lying quietly. All of a sudden, she felt very strange. No matter how good it was here, it was not her home. She couldn't stay here forever. All of a sudden, Zhao Yuqing had an idea of moving away. Shang Jiyu had just arrived at the company and had not yet arrived at the office. Mr. Shang, Zhao Yaqing asked for leave. Another secretary, Mang Xian, said. There was an obvious strange look in his eyes. Was she really uncomfortable? She probably didn't want to see him. He clearly remembered that when she left last night, she said that she hated him. If he hated her, he would hate her. Anyway, he didn't love her. Okay, got it. After that, he walked into the office without looking back. Zhao Yuqing slept for a whole day and didn't wake up until 5 o'clock. She quickly packed up and went to the school to pick up the children. Mommy, why are you here so late? I miss you so much. Zhao Ling saw Zhao Yuqing's figure and immediately pounced on her. She got into Zhao Yaqing's arms and kissed her on the face. Shang Zihao happened to come over as well. When he saw Zhao Muqing, he walked happily to her side. Aunt Qing. He greeted her politely. It seemed that at this moment, he restrained all the coldness in his body. Shang Zihao's little face was filled with a sunny smile. Only then did Zhao Yuqing notice Shang Zihao. She put down Zhao Ling and held Shang Zihao in her arms. She rubbed his little head and wanted to kiss him. But in the end, she still did not have the courage to kiss him. He was Shang Jiyu's son. He had Shang Jiyu's blood on him, the man who had insulted her. Why do you look like me? Zhao Yenyang, who was standing by the side and didn't speak, finally couldn't help but ask. How could this boy, whose whole body was full of coldness, be like him? Just like the man she met yesterday, she also resembled him like that. Only then did Shang Zihao turn his head. However, the moment he turned his head, his face had already returned to its usual coldness. His gentleness could only be found in front of Zhao Yuqing. Shang Zihao's deep gaze swept across Zhao Yinyang's entire body. The last two equally delicate faces looked into each other's eyes. It's not that I look like you, but you look like me. Shang Zihao's tone was as cold as his. His eyes had never left Zhao Tianyang. Was this guy ranked first on the same level as him? There was obvious hostility in Shang Zihao's eyes. Looking at the two unfriendly children, Zhao Yuqing frowned slightly. Could it be that there was some kind of grudge between these two children? However, her Yan Yang was very obedient and never had any enmity with other children. How could he have a grudge against Shang Zihao? Zhao Ling also blinked her big watery eyes and stared at the delicate little face in front of her, which was exactly the same as her brother's. Yan Yang, this is Zihao. I'm his tutor. Zhao Yuqing hugged her son with a smile and then looked at Shang Zihao. There was an obvious trace of disappointment in Shang Zihao's eyes. It turned out that she was Zhao Yinyang's mommy. It felt so good to have a mommy. She would hold herself in her arms as soon as possible, just like Zhao Yuqing was holding Zhao Yenyang now. Zhao Ling held Shang Zihao's little hand shyly and kissed him gently, which made the little girls next to her jealous. Brother Zihao must be lonely. Why don't you go to my house? I have a lot of fun things to play with. Zhao Ling invited him. She had always had a good impression of Shang Zihao. When she grew up, she would marry him. Shang Zihao looked at Zhao Ling in surprise. It was the first time someone had invited him. In school, he had always been so proud and honorable. He didn't have a friend, and no one had ever dared to kiss him. And this Zhao Ling in front of him actually kissed him, which made his heart suddenly move. Zhao Yenyang was angry. How could his sister kiss his enemy so casually? Besides, this girl had never taken the initiative to kiss him. How could he not be jealous? Ling Ling, how can you kiss him? Is he as handsome as me? Come, be my brother. Zhao Yinyang's tone was obviously full of jealousy. His sister had kissed another man in front of him. Zhao Ling glared at Zhao Tianyang. She had been ambushed by him many times, hadn't she? Every day when she was sleeping, she forced herself to kiss her before going to bed. Young master, it's time for us to leave, Butler Li said respectfully to Shang Zihao. Of course, without Shang Jiyu's order, Shang Zihao could not go to play at will. Butler Li obviously heard their conversation just now. Shang Zihao glanced at Zhao Ling, and finally, his eyes fell on Zhao Yuqing. Aunt Qing, I'll be waiting for you tonight. As soon as he finished speaking, he left with the housekeeper. But his last words shocked Zhao Yenyang's heart. Zhao Yenyang immediately looked at Zhao Yaqing. Mommy came back so late last night because of Shang Zihao? Is it because Mommy accompanied me last night that she doesn't want to accompany me and Ling Ling? Ling Ling was obviously puzzled by Shang Zihao's last words. She couldn't help but stare at Zhao Yaqing with her eyes wide open. Is Mommy familiar with that lonely prince? Zhao Yaqing held Zhao Ling and Zhao Yenyang in her arms at the same time. These two kids were still jealous. You two are unique in Mommy's heart, but Shang Zihao is very pitiful. He doesn't have a mother, and Dad doesn't love him, so Mommy just gave him a little love and let him feel the taste of love. Zhao Yaqing explained to the two children softly. In fact, she also liked Shang Zihao's child very much. But unfortunately, he was Shang Jiyu's child. She was afraid that she would not see him in the future. Hearing Zhao Yuqing's words, Ling Ling was immediately filled with sympathy. It turned out that Shang Zihao was so pitiful. He was so noble, so arrogant, and so excellent, but he didn't have love. Zhao Yenyang frowned slightly. After all, he had a father. He really wanted to experience what kind of love his father gave him. In the dark and windy night, Zhao Yaqing tossed and turned and stayed up all night. When she thought of how her father was suffering in prison, her heart ached. The sun in the morning slowly rose. Today was Sunday, so Zhao Yuqing didn't wake up the child. Zhang Meiyun didn't go to work today. She asked Zhang Meiyun to help her look after the child, and she went to see her father alone. Zhao Yaqing took some money. When she saw the 50,000 yuan, she thought of the humiliation that Shang Jiyu had given her. Zhao Yaqing gave a wry smile and put the money into her bag. Then, Zhao Yaqing took another 50,000 yuan and went out of the villa. She was wearing a white dress today, which made her look exceptionally fresh and clean. However, there was a faint trace of sadness on her beautiful face. Dad, I'm here to save you. Just as she was about to get on the bus, her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID. It belonged to Shang Jiyu. Zhao Yuqing didn't want to take it, but she didn't hang up. Just like that, she didn't want to talk to him at this time. However, the phone rang again and again. The passengers next to her couldn't help but look at her. Zhao Yaqing smiled embarrassedly. In the end, she had no choice but to take the phone. However, in her heart, she was extremely agitated. I'll give you 20 minutes to come to my house. Shang Jiyu's voice was so cold that there was not a trace of warmth in it. There was also a faint trace of anger, as if he was enduring something. Zhao Yaqing's face darkened in an instant. Obviously, she didn't expect that Shang Jiyu called her just to roar at her. If she had known this would happen, she would have turned off her phone. I'm sorry, Mr. Shang. It's Sunday today. I'm not going to work. Zhao Yuqing said simply. Zhao Yaqing's voice was obviously displeased. What did he think she was? If she wanted to do it, she could do it. Did she want to have sex with a woman? Then he was really wrong. The day before yesterday, letting him take advantage of the situation was her mistake. From now on, she would definitely keep a certain distance from him. 9 minutes and 15 seconds left. Shang Jiyu said coldly. He looked at his son who was sick next to him. He didn't eat a single bite of rice, and he even kept calling out Zhao Yaqing's name. She really didn't know what Zhao Yaqing had done to his son. Zhao Yuqing was stunned by Shang Jiyu's words. She quickly hung up the phone and turned it off. Zhao Muqing regretted picking up the phone just now, which affected her mood in the early morning. After half an hour's ride, they arrived at the terminal. Zhao Yaqing got out of the car in the crowd, but as soon as her feet touched the ground, she suddenly felt that someone was pulling her, and she struggled instinctively. When Zhao Yuqing saw these people in suits and leather shoes, her heart tightened. They were Shang Jiyu's men. Before she had time to think about it, she was dragged away. Let me go, or I'll start shouting. Zhao Yuqing couldn't care about her image anymore. She tried her best to resist. What on earth does Shang Jiyu want to do? Why was he always so overbearing? What kind of woman did he treat her as? Those people ignored her and quickly dragged her into the car. In Zhao Yuqing's heart, she only felt that there was a nameless fire. She called Shang Jiyu in anger. Shang Jiyu, what on earth do you want to do? She just came to work in his work department, and he had no right to strip her of her freedom. What right did he have to do such a thing to her? She realized that she had never hated a man as much as she did now. Shang Jiyu looked at his son, who still had a fever. Last night, in order to wait for her, his son had blown in the wind all night. She even had the nerve to ask him what he wanted to do. As a tutor, how can you not be selfish? Do you know what the consequences are? Shang Jiyu's tone was still very cold. In fact, he didn't make much of a fuss about Zhao Yuqing's absence yesterday. It was just that his son caught a cold because of her. Just now, he was very dissatisfied with her attitude, so he decided not to let her go. Didn't I ask for leave yesterday? Zhao Yuqing said confidently. Yes, she had asked Meng Xian to ask for leave for her yesterday. You just asked for company leave, and you didn't ask for a tutor's leave, Shang Jiyu replied unhurriedly. His son's illness was all because of this woman. He could almost imagine that this little woman was angry over there. He suddenly thought of the beauty of this woman, which made him miss her. Zhao Yuqing was furious. She really felt that this man was deliberately targeting her. He had stolen her innocence. She should be the one who was angry. What right did he have to treat her like this? Zhao Muqing simply hung up the phone. Shang Jiyu looked at the phone in his hand, and his deep eyes darkened a little. Very good. This woman actually hung up on me again. After getting out of the car, a snow-white figure with a clean body rushed into Shang Jiyu's living room. Her back seemed to be full of anger. When they arrived at the living room, it was empty. Led by the servants, they came to Shang Ziheo's room. Standing at the door, Zhao Yuqing was surprised. Is Shang Jiyu here? She clearly remembered that this was Shang Ziheo's room. Zhao Yuqing pushed open the door and entered. Instantly, her big clear eyes met with Shang Jiyu's deep eyes. Aunt Qing. Shang Ziheo, who was lying in bed, was the first to speak. The moment he saw Zhao Yuqing, he seemed very happy. In that case, he would be happier than if he got 100 points in the exam. Zhao Yuqing cast her eyes from Shang Jiyu to Shang Ziheo. Her face was originally full of anger, but when she saw Shang Ziheo, she couldn't be angry anymore. Zhao Yuqing gave Shang Ziheo a gentle smile. Ziheo, why are you so sleepy? It's already late in the morning, Zhao Yuqing said with a smile. While speaking, she didn't even look at Shang Jiyu. She hated him and hated him even more. Shang Ziheo curled his lips in grievance and then pointed to the medicine on the table. He was sick, and now he felt so cold. His whole body was so light that he couldn't see the bed at all. Following Shang Ziheo's gaze, Zhao Yuqing looked at the medicine on the table. She was obviously stunned. Cold medicine? Because of her spirit and yin yang, these medicines had always been prepared in her home. So as soon as she saw these bags, she knew it. Ziheo, why did you catch a cold? Did you take the medicine? Zhao Yuqing walked to the table. In fact, she really wanted to see Shang Ziheo by the bed. However, Shang Jiyu was also there. She didn't want to get close to him, so she stopped. Shang Ziheo shook his head. The medicine was bitter and he didn't want to drink it. And the feeling of illness was also very good. At least, as a cold-faced father, he would be by his side. Now, Auntie Qing was here as well. If possible, he was willing to continue to be sick like this. Zhao Yuqing thought that he had taken the medicine, but she didn't expect him to shake his head. There was a burst of worry in her heart. That kind of worry was from the bottom of her heart, just like her own child's worry when he was sick. How can I not take medicine? Come on, Auntie Qing will feed you. Zhao Muqing poured medicine for Shang Ziheo, and she wanted to feed him. However, Shang Jiyu still had no intention of leaving. She frowned slightly and felt unhappy. Shang Jiu just stood aside and looked at Zhao Yaqing quietly. She was very skilled at pouring medicine. She could treat other people's children so carefully. She should be a good mother. Although Zhao Yaqing was dissatisfied, she still forced herself to walk over. Shang Zihao still didn't want to drink it, but he drank the medicine under Zhao Yuqing's coaxing. He took Zhao Yuqing's hand and refused to let her go. "Aunt Ching, I'm so cold. Please hug me." Shang Zihao suddenly acted like a spoiled child. He liked Zhao Yuqing's embrace so much. It was very warm. This made him imagine whether his mother's hug was as warm as his mother's. Zhao Yuqing and Shang Jiu looked at Shang Zihao at the same time, with different expressions on their faces. Shang Zihao couldn't help but lower his head. Shang Jiu would never have thought that his son would act like a spoiled child. He was so indifferent, but he was so enthusiastic to Zhao Yuqing. Although Zhao Yaqing also wanted to hug Shang Zihao, it was inconvenient for Shang Jiu to sit next to her. Shang Zihao rolled his big eyes and immediately looked at Shang Jiu. "Dad, get out of Auntie Qing's way. Have Auntie Qing lie down beside me." Shang Zihao looked at Shang Jiu and said. Anyway, Shang Jiu would never hold him in his arms. Since he was a child, he had never hugged her, so he let Shang Jiu leave this place. Shang Jiu obviously didn't expect that Shang Zihao would say that. The next moment, he looked at Zhao Yuqing. For the first time, a trace of jealousy flashed across his heart. Yes, he was jealous of Zhao Yuqing. How could his son drive him away for the sake of Zhao Yuqing? "Can I ask you something?" Zhao Yuqing suddenly asked. She still remembered what Shang Jiu had just said. He said that if she didn't go to school last night, the consequences would be very serious. If she wanted to know what the consequences would be, could she make up for her overtime work now? Shang Jiu raised his eyebrows slightly. His intuition told him that this woman would not get any good news. Looking at Shang Jiu's expression, she thought, what does his expression mean? Can you say yes or no? "Excuse me, Mr. Shang, what's the consequence of my absence last night? Can I work overtime today to make up for it?" If he wanted to deduct money, then she would leave immediately, and she would never deal with him again in the future. Shang Jiu stared at Zhao Yaqing with a complicated look in his deep eyes. Is this woman so short of money? Since she was so short of money, why didn't she take the opportunity to ask him for some money after such a thing happened that day? If he had been happy at that time, he might have given her a lot of money, but she had left angrily. "In fact, if you are in trouble, you can tell me and I will give you some money," Shang Jiu suddenly said. After what happened that day, he inexplicably wanted to treat her better and satisfy some of her needs. Hearing Shang Jiu's words, Zhao Yaqing couldn't help sneering. In her mind, she instantly thought of the scene of him humiliating her that day. What did he mean? Was he trying to compensate her? To make up for what he did to her that day? Thinking of this, Zhao picked up the sneer on the corner of her mouth. "I need money, but even if I need it, it will be the hard-earned money I earned. You don't have to take what happened that day to heart. I'll just take it as if I was bitten by a dog. Don't worry, I won't pester you," Zhao Yuqing said coldly. It was obvious that she didn't care about it, but why did her heart hurt? What he destroyed that day was not only her innocence, but also her self-esteem. This reminded her of the night when she sold herself for money 6 years ago. While they were talking, Shang Zihao had fallen asleep. Perhaps it was because of the cold medicine that he had not slept all night and soon fell asleep. Shang Jiu's eyes grew colder and colder. Damn it, what did she just say? How dare she say that she was bitten by a dog? Does she think I am a dog? Suddenly, an evil smile appeared on Shang Jiu's face. You don't pester me, but I will pester you. Your body is so charming. If you sell it out, you can definitely sell it for a lot of money. Since she called him a dog, there was no need for him to care about her feelings. In fact, he didn't dislike her. But it was just because she always had a way to make him dislike her. This woman was really excellent. Zhao Yaqing's face turned pale in an instant. He really regarded her as that kind of woman. That was why he had sex with her without any worries that day. That was why he had insulted her like this. Mr. Shang's figure is not bad. If Mr. Shang is a duck, he will definitely attract a lot of customers. His business is definitely good, Zhao Yaqing said rudely. However, her heart was still in pain. 6 years ago, for the sake of her father, she had sold her innocence and self-esteem. She didn't expect that she would be possessed by such a man 6 years later. Shang Jiyu suddenly approached Zhao Yaqing. His cold breath sprayed on Zhao Yaqing's face. Zhao Yaqing's heartbeat sped up inexplicably. Her small hand was already pressed against Shang Jiyu's chest. Then I'll try to be a duck. And you are my first customer. While talking, Shang Jiyu was still approaching Zhao Yaqing. The unique scent of lemon on his body enveloped her. Zhao Yaqing felt nervous in her heart, and she quickly stepped back. But at this time, Shang Jiyu suddenly pressed her head and forced her to look straight at him. His sexy thin lips suddenly kissed hers. Zhao Yaqing struggled hard, but at this time, her resistance was useless. Shang Jiyu held her in his arms and walked out while kissing her. This woman gave off a faint scent of lily. He used to think that she used this kind of perfume, but now he suddenly found that this kind of fragrance came from her. There was no impurities. It was natural. Suddenly sensing her weakness, Zhao Yaqing was shocked. Damn it, what kind of woman does Shang Jiyu think I am? How could he do such a thing? It's still early in the morning. Don't you like money? Tell me, how much do you want? Shang Jiyu kissed Zhao Yaqing's body in infatuation. He said as he kissed her. No matter how much she wanted, he would give it to her. Her body really made him obsessed. If possible, he was willing to keep her by his side as his lover. I want self-esteem. I want to prove my innocence. Can you afford it? Zhao Yaqing gritted her teeth and said word by word. Her voice seemed to be full of hatred. Her expression shocked Shang Jiyu, and he subconsciously stopped what he was doing. Now he realized that she cared so much about her body. Was she protecting her innocence for the sake of her 2 children's fathers? For a moment, he was a little jealous of the man who could marry Jiao Muqing. Shang Jiyu stood up. He did not apologize to Jiao Muqing, but looked straight at her. Since she had a husband, why didn't his husband support her? What did she need money for? He suddenly wanted to investigate this woman. He wanted to know what she was doing. She tidied up her torn and messy clothes and turned around proudly. At this time, she did not want to face this man at all. If she could, she would rather not see him. However, when Zhao Yaqing walked to the door, Shang Jiyu suddenly grabbed her hand. This is 1 million yuan. Take it first. If you still need it at that time, you can ask for it again. His tone was unusually calm, and there was no fluctuation. Looking at the check in Shang Jiyu's hand, Zhao Yaqing couldn't help but think of the day when he humiliated her in the car and what he once said. He once said that he would give her 500,000 yuan to sleep with him for a night. But now he gave her 1 million yuan, which indirectly showed that he had bought her that night with this 1 million yuan. Thinking of this, a mocking smile appeared on Zhao Yaqing's face. She took the check from Shang Jiyu's hand. Before he could speak, she suddenly reached out and tore the check into pieces in front of him. With a wave of her hand, she instantly flew into the room. Shang Jiyu looked at all this in surprise, and his face had become cold. This woman was so ungrateful that she tore the check in front of him. She knew that this was the first time that he had personally given the check to the woman. In the past, he had asked his assistant to give it to her. His hand could not help but clench into a fist, as if he was trying his best to suppress his anger. Zhao Yaqing looked straight at Shang Jiyu, her face full of stubbornness. A cold smile appeared on her face. I think your money is dirty. As she finished her words, she turned around gracefully, leaving a proud back. Her back was straight and full of stubbornness. Shang Jiyu stared at Zhao Yaqing's back and frowned. For the first time, there was a woman who didn't want his money and even dared to tear it up in front of him. How dare she say that his money was dirty? What kind of woman was she? What kind of man would marry a woman like her? He was not angry at her words. He wanted to explore her. This woman was so interesting. For the first time, he had an interest in women. For some reason, he had an impulse to know her life. What kind of woman was she? Since she needed money so much, why did she tear up the check he gave her? Zhao Yaqing suddenly came back because the door of his villa was locked. Without Sheng Jiyu's permission, they didn't dare to let Zhao Yaqing leave without permission. Sheng Jiyu looked at Zhao Yaqing, who was returning, and the corners of his mouth suddenly curved up. Without his order, she could not leave. Mr. Shang, please ask your guard to open the door. I have something to do. Zhao Yaqing stared straight at Sheng Jiyu as she spoke. She looked at such a delicate man, but she hated him to the core. Sheng Jiyu also stared at Zhao Yaqing. She was always so stubborn. If she could be softer, he might agree to her departure or send her back. Sheng Jiyu took a step forward, but at this moment, Zhao Yaqing took a step back and distanced herself from him. Sheng Jiyu looked at Zhao Yaqing in front of him. Was this woman afraid? It was really funny. All the women in the past wanted to get close to him. He was not only rich, handsome, but also powerful. He was so conspicuous. But the woman in front of him was retreating? You can't leave yet. You can't leave until my son wakes up, Sheng Jiyu suddenly said. His son caught a cold because of her, so she should be responsible for it to the end. I'm sorry, Mr. Sheng. It's not in my career. How could she be here? She had to visit her father. It had been 6 years since they parted. She wondered if her father had lost weight in prison. Sheng Jiyu frowned. Is this woman only working in front of him? She always talks about work and then money. There seems to be no other topic between her and him. 100,000, stay here with my son for a day, Sheng Jiyu suddenly said. Since she liked money so much, he would give her some money. If Zhao Yaqing had heard about that incident before, she might have been very happy. But now, in her subconscious, she felt that the money he gave her was all because of what had happened that day, which made her feel ashamed. I'm sorry, Mr. Sheng. Some things can be bought with money, but some things can't be bought with money. My time can't be bought with money. Please let me go. Zhao Yaqing stared at Sheng Jiyu with her big bright eyes. Since that incident happened, she no longer respected him. Since he didn't respect her, why did she still respect him? Sheng Jiyu's eyes were cold and deep, and his whole body seemed to be giving off a chill. His thin lips were tightly pressed together, making people feel unhappy. This woman's words were too strong, and she should not be so strong in front of him. What if I don't let you leave? Since she wanted to leave so much, he wouldn't let her leave. He was waiting for her to beg him. He really wanted to see how long she could stay strong. Was it her stubbornness or his strength? Zhao Yaqing looked at Sheng Jiyu's expression. Why did he always feel like he was asking for a beating? He didn't want her to leave, but he could say it so confidently. What do you mean, Mr. Sheng? You want to deprive me of my personal freedom? I can sue you. Zhao Yaqing stared at Sheng Jiyu and said fearlessly. She found that she really hated this man. She had never hated a person as much as she did before. She wants to sue me? This was the first time in his life that he had heard such a thing. This woman is really excellent. She can even say such words. Looking at Zhao Yaqing's undulating chest because of anger, he suddenly thought of her plump hand. He couldn't help but smile evilly. His body somehow had some reactions. He didn't expect that such a frivolous move of this woman could cause his reaction. Sheng Jiyu suddenly approached her, and there was a flash of desire in his evil eyes. Do you want to sue me? Since you want to sue me, I don't care about another criminal case. A tall figure approached her and shrouded her in an instant. He had a cold smile on his face, which made him look like a devil. Zhao Yaqing was so scared that she immediately stepped back until her body was against the door. There was no way to retreat. There was finally a trace of horror in her stubborn eyes. Does Mr. Sheng usually treat married women like this? Mr. Sheng's taste is really special, Zhao Yaqing suddenly said, her tone full of sarcasm, and there seemed to be a hint of disdain in her eyes. Because of her words, Sheng Jiyu stopped. He almost forgot that she was the mother of 2 children. She should have a husband. Thinking of this, he suddenly felt a little impatient. Thinking that her body had been possessed by another man, he felt inexplicably annoyed. If your husband loves you, how can he let you, a woman, run around like this outside? He had such an impulse. He wanted to know what kind of man her husband was. Obviously, Zhao Yaqing didn't expect that Sheng Jiyu would suddenly mention her husband. She felt a little sad. Because she didn't have a husband, she was bullied like this by him. If she had a husband, her husband would definitely protect her. She suddenly had an idea that she should go on a blind date to find a husband. In that case, no one would say that her son was an illegitimate child. Yes, it was decided that when she visited her father, she would go on a blind date. It's my business. I don't need to bother Mr. Shang. Zhao Yuqing raised her head and said. She was waiting for him to ask her to leave. After she resigned, she would never step into his place again. Shang Jiu also seemed to feel that his question was a little redundant. But no matter how much he asked, she couldn't say anything about him. How could he be despised by her? She was despising His Majesty. It is appropriate to care about the staff's family, which is good for the promotion of work. Shang Jiu was smiling, and he was still approaching Zhao Yuqing. Zhao Muqing looked at Shang Jiu with disdain, but his tall figure gave her a lot of pressure. She finally couldn't help reaching out her little hand to stop Shang Jiu, who was still approaching her. Is Mr. Shang always so enthusiastic to his employees? Zhao Yuqing said meaningfully. Shang Jiu was indeed a pervert. Countless female employees had been ruined by him. Shang Jiu raised his eyebrows slightly. Are you jealous? If you are jealous, I will be so enthusiastic to you in the future. Shang Jiu kept smiling. Anyway, he had nothing to do today, so he just played with her. Zhao Muqing sneered. He really thinks so highly of himself. How could she be jealous of him? Even if I watch you sleep with another woman, I won't be jealous. Yes, what he wanted to do was his business. What did it have to do with her? Shang Jiu's eyes instantly turned cold. This woman always challenged his bottom line. Well, he decided to have a good time with this woman. If she did this to seduce him, then she really succeeded. Well, you can go now. Shang Jiu suddenly changed the topic. He wanted to see how hard this woman's thorns were. Zhao Yuqing was shocked by Shang Jiu's sudden words. Obviously, she didn't expect that Shang Jiu would suddenly let her leave. What's wrong? You don't want to leave. Shang Jiu's sexy thin lips curled into a proud smile. Zhao Yuqing was shocked and quickly left. Looking at Zhao Yuqing's back, who was running away, his dark eyes were unfathomable. Lin Fan, have you found any information about Zhao Yuqing? He said to the phone indifferently. I've found out that Zhao Yuqing just came back from abroad with her 2 children. She has no husband and got pregnant before marriage. Her parents are divorced. She has been following her father to pay the salary. 6 years ago, she was sent to prison because of the loan sharks, Lin Fan reported respectfully. He really didn't understand why Mr. Shang would be so interested in a woman who already had 2 children. Shang Jiu narrowed his eyes slightly. She doesn't have a husband? Does this mean that she is not married? He suddenly thought of her tight body. No wonder her body was so tight and so rough. It turned out that she was still married. A trace of inexplicable happiness flashed through his heart. His father was in prison, and suddenly there was a flash of shrewdness in his eyes. Go to the prison and give an order. You can't let go of Zhao Lu. If you want money, ask him to pay 10 million yuan. Shang Jiu hung up the phone and showed a meaningful smile. He didn't believe that this woman wouldn't come to save him. Yes. Although Lin Fan didn't know what Shang Jiu meant, he just did what he did. In the visiting room, Zhao Yuqing held the phone excitedly. When she saw Zhao Lu coming out with a face full of vicissitudes of life, she couldn't help but burst into tears. Zhao Lu was also very excited. It had been 6 years. Since she gave birth to the child, she had disappeared. At that time, after he got the money and returned the loan, he still had some money. Because of his momentary greed, he played a few more times. He owed a huge sum of loan and finally became a prisoner. Ching, I'm sorry. After working in prison for 6 years, he had learned a lot. The gambling not only made him lose his wife, but also his daughter. He really regretted it. Dad, you've lost weight. Zhao Yuqing said softly, and her tone was full of unbearable pain. Looking at her father's old white hair, she felt that she was really unfilial. Zhao Lu wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes. His heart was full of sadness because of Zhao Yuqing's concern. Dad is fine. I have a good life here. Ching Ching, how are you doing? He felt that he was not qualified to ask this question. At that time, it was his evil thoughts that ruined her daughter's life and tarnished her purity. The little hand holding the phone trembled obviously. Her father was so thin, how could he live a good life? At this moment, she made up her mind to save her father, no matter how much she had to pay. I'm living a good life. Dad, don't worry. I'm working and making money. I'm waiting for Dad to go back now. Let's live a happy life together. When she said this, the corners of her mouth couldn't help but raise into a bright smile. This might be what she was looking forward to the most. Zhao Lu nodded. He opened his mouth and wanted to ask something, but in the end, he didn't ask anything. He felt too ashamed to ask. He didn't know how the other two children were now. They must be 6-year-old children. Dad, the children are also very good. When I have time, I will take them to see you. Zhao Yaqing seemed to see through Zhao Lu's thoughts and said with a smile. Even though her heart was in pain, she had to smile. Only in this way could her dad feel at ease. Sure enough, after hearing Zhao Yuqing's words, a gratified smile appeared on Zhao Lu's face. It's time for the visit, the staff member came over and said indifferently. Zhao Yaqing paid some money to let her see Commander Yu. What? 10 million. Zhao Yaqing widened her eyes in disbelief and looked at the officer in front of her. Was he eating money? He was more scheming than Sheng Jiu. Her father had been in prison for 10 years, but now he had been in prison for 6 years. There were only 4 years left, but he asked her for 10 million. Yes, 10 million yuan. It can't be less. It was Mr. Sheng's personal order. He didn't dare to make any decisions without permission. He still wanted to keep his job. Zhao Muqing walked back in disappointment. 10 million yuan. Even if she was sold, she would not have so much money. At this time, she suddenly thought of Sheng Jiu. He had said that if she wanted money, she could find him. But soon, he denied this idea. People like Sheng Jiu would only insult her. Yan Yang, what are you doing? Ling Yi stared at Yan Yang, who was playing with a computer. She really didn't know what he was playing with a computer every day. Yan Yang glanced at Ling Ling and then looked at his computer. He did not care about the trace of boredom on Ling Ling's tiny face. Kids, go away and play. Don't disturb your brother from earning money. Yan Yang was still staring at the computer. His stock had risen. If he transferred the money now, he could probably earn 1 million yuan. Ling Ling curled her lips in grievance. Mom is not here, and so is Aunt Mei Yun. I'm so hungry. As she spoke, her bright and clear eyes were already filled with tears. Yan Yang had no choice but to stand up. Looking at Ling Ling's tearful eyes, he shook his head helplessly. Sigh, women are trouble. As he spoke, Yan Yang had already grabbed Ling Ling's small hand and walked out. But Mom is also a woman. As Ling Ling walked, she couldn't help but ask. When her mom came back, she would complain to Yan Yang. How dare she say that her mom was troublesome? I know. Mom is also very troublesome. She likes to nag. However, she's a little stronger than you. Even if Yan Yang were to speak, he would not forget to say the spirit-promised phrase. She rolled her big eyes and suddenly stretched out her hand. There was already a pair of big glasses in her small hand. It was a pair of eyes that Yan Yang had to wear when he went out. No one could make him so handsome. When others saw him, they couldn't help kissing him. Yan Yang almost forgot about this. When he saw the big glasses in Ling Ling's small hand, he immediately wanted to take them over. At this moment, Ling Ling suddenly pulled out her hand and put her glasses behind her back. Humph, if she dared to say that she was troublesome, would she not give her glasses to him? Stinky boy, wait to be kissed by those old women on the street. Thinking of this, Ling Ling couldn't help feeling a little proud in her heart. However, at this moment, a car suddenly rushed over. Yan Yang was shocked and suddenly grabbed his spirit. At this moment, the glasses in his hands also flew away along with the car that was running away. Ling Ling, are you alright? Yan Yang asked with a face full of concern. Why didn't this silly girl look at the car? It was as big as Mommy's. Just as Ling Ling was about to say something, the fast sports car that had just left suddenly turned back. Is this pair of glasses yours? Shang Jiyu's cold and overbearing voice came over. When he saw Yan Yang, his face obviously showed a hint of ridicule, but it soon disappeared. These two were Zhao Yuqing's children. At that time, he had seen them in the fall bar once, and his impression of them was quite deep. Obviously, Ling Ling also saw Shang Jiyu, and a burst of anger rose on her little face. Uncle, no matter how handsome you are, you can't say that I'm a burden. Hasn't your mother taught you morality? Ling Ling clearly remembered what Shang Jiyu said about her at that time. Had he ever seen such a beautiful and lovely drag bottle? She was a baby of her mother. Shang Jiyu raised his eyebrows slightly. This little girl still remembers her grudges. Looking at the little girl in front of him, he thought, she has big watery eyes, a delicate little face, a pretty nose and a pair of thin lips. Why does she look like me? How can uncle look directly at my sister? My sister already has someone she likes. She won't fall in love with you. Yan Yang finally couldn't help but say. Originally, he had a good impression of Shang Jiyu, but when he saw his sister's two colored eyes, he felt inexplicably unhappy. Only then did Shang Jiyu notice Yan Yang, who was also looking at him. At the moment when they looked at each other, the two of them were shocked at the same time. Maybe no one had expected that they would look so similar to each other. Shang Jiyu looked at Yan Yang in front of him. He was so beautiful that he could even compete with his son. He didn't expect that he could give birth to such a beautiful child. Who was her man? Why was he so mysterious? Wow, uncle looks like my brother. Ling Ling suddenly said. She seemed to think that it was very incredible. Shang Jiyu frowned. He didn't say a word from the beginning to the end. He also found that this young man looked like him. Did he really suspect that he left a seat outside? But he knew it was impossible. Oh, brother, our glasses are on the driver's head. Ling Ling was the first to find their glasses. She pointed at the glasses on the driver's head in surprise. It was amazing that they were stuck on the driver's head without moving. Shang Jiyu's eyes darkened. He looked at the pool of water in the driver's seat. At that time, he saw an unknown object flying toward him. The driver was so scared that he peed in his pants. It didn't matter, what was important was that his seat was wet. Do you know the consequences of throwing glasses around? In fact, Shang Jiyu did not dislike the two children, but he could only blame them for being children, so he deliberately made things difficult for them. Hey, uncle, can you be more reasonable? It's you who almost bumped into us. I lost my glasses because of carelessness. You should compensate us. Ling Qin pouted her small mouth. Shang Jiyu glanced at the pool of water under the driver and then looked at the two children. You scared my driver to pee in his pants and wet the seat. The seat is worth 1,000,000 yuan, Shang Jiyu said coldly. He looked at the time and found that there was another time limit. He couldn't talk nonsense with these two children anymore. At that moment, Yan Yang's eyes also became deep and there was a faint luster in them, which seemed to be exactly the same as that of Shang Jiyu. Uncle, my glasses cost 10,000,000 yuan. How dare he ask for money from him? Did he think he was so easy to cheat? Shang Jiyu habitually raised his eyebrows. He looked at Yan Yang in front of him. This little guy's reaction was quite fast. The broken glasses were not worth 1,000 yuan. 10,000,000 yuan? 10,000,000 yuan was enough to buy a big car for him. If that's the case, then I'll buy you an identical pair of glasses, and you'll have to compensate me for an exact same car seat. Shang Jiyu's lips curled up elegantly. His car was a limited edition in the country, and he wanted to see where this kid was going to find an exact car seat for him. Sure enough, Zhao Yinyang's face changed slightly, and his eyes sank a little. Looking at the more eye-catching sports car, he weighed it from left to right. Okay, I'll pay you 1,000,000 yuan. He had seen this car on the computer. It was a limited edition in the country. If he really paid for it, he probably couldn't afford it. Shang Jiyu didn't expect that Yan Yang would suddenly give up. He couldn't help but smile. He really wanted to know where Zhao Yaqing, who loved money so much, was going to find 1,000,000 yuan for her son. This is my number. If you want money, contact me. While speaking, Yan Yang took out a pen from his pocket and quickly wrote a string of numbers on his hand. He then placed the pen in front of Shang Jiyu. Shang Jiyu glanced at the number and felt that the child was more and more interesting. Compared with his son, the child was much more lively. Okay, remember 1 million yuan, not a penny less. As soon as he finished speaking, he left. When he left, he couldn't help looking at the driver's seat. Alas, it seemed that he had to change the driver. Where did Lin Fan find such a coward for him? Looking at the back of the eye-catching sports car leaving, Yan Yang's small hand clenched into a fist. His 1 million was actually gone just like that. He remembered this grudge. Wow, what a handsome boy. What's your name? Suddenly, a little girl about 10 years old walked up to Yan Yang and stared unblinkingly at the delicate child in front of him. The women who had been staring at Yan Yang, upon seeing that someone was approaching him, immediately leaned on their bodies. Some of them even reached out their hands, as if they wanted to touch such an exquisite little face. Immediately, more and more people gathered around him. They were filled with admiration for Yan Yang. Handsome boy, can I kiss you? It was the little girl named Si Yan Yang who asked shyly. Her little face was already red. Yan Yang swept his gaze across the crowd. Everyone was looking at him so eagerly. Cold sweat immediately broke out on his head. You can't kiss him. He's mine. While speaking, Ling Ling reached out her small hand to touch Yan Yang's little face. The next moment, she had already forced a kiss on him. It was the first time she had forced a kiss on him. The taste seemed to be not bad. In everyone's shock, Ling Ling pulled Yan Yang and ran away. The 10-year-old girl immediately reacted and chased after him with a sad face. She found that she fell in love with this delicate handsome guy at first sight. She must catch up with him. Suddenly, a group of women caught up with her. She was going to arrange a marriage for her daughter and this delicate child. Zhao Yuqing bought a lot of food and was about to go home when she suddenly saw so many people. She was surprised and immediately followed them. When Zhao Yuqing saw her 2 children, she couldn't help but widen her eyes. There were so many people chasing after her children. Zhao Yuqing stopped a car and drove to her child. With a wave of her hand, the 2 children got in the car in an instant. Mommy, you are so good at saving the beauty. As she spoke, she threw herself into Zhao Yuqing's arms, like a little princess throwing herself into Xiaoyu's arms. Hearing Ling Ling's words, the corners of Zhao Yuqing's mouth twitched. What do you mean by, the hero saves the beauty? Where did her daughter learn these words? Ling Ling, you just kissed me, but you have to be responsible for me. Yan Yang's words were shocking. Even the driver of the car couldn't help but look back and subconsciously look at Yan Yang's crotch. How could a brat like him, who was wet behind the ears, say that he was responsible? Zhao Yuqing's face became even more ugly. What did her child learn every day? A 6-year-old child knew how to take responsibility. Why should she take the responsibility? Ling Ling got into Zhao Yuqing's arms and did not speak. She did not even look at Yan Yang. Anyway, it was her mother who was in charge of everything. Yan Yang, don't talk about these things in the future. Why did you only get 2nd place in the entrance exam? Zhao Yuqing suddenly asked. Her son had never won 2nd place since he was a child. As soon as Yan Yang heard about the matter of the school, he was very angry. He had the same score as Sheng Zihao in the exam, but their class teacher was so partial that he let Sheng Zihao take the 1st place and Sheng Zihao take the 2nd place. Mommy, I'm on the same level as that Sheng Zihao, okay? It's just that the head teacher made me ranked 2nd. He's no worse than that Sheng Zihao. Sheng Zihao? Zhao Yuqing frowned slightly. She suddenly thought of something important. Sheng Zihao caught a cold this morning. I don't know if he's all right now. She was inexplicably worried. You 2 go back first. Mommy still has something to do. Zhao Yuqing suddenly said. While talking, she waved to the driver to stop the car. The spirit in Zhao Yuqing's arms obviously didn't want to let her go, so the spiritual drill tightened. Obviously, Yan Yang was unwilling to let Zhao Yuqing leave. Mommy, why are you leaving us behind like this? Look at us, we are a perfect match. What should we do if we are abducted? Yan Yang pouted his small mouth and said. The corner of Zhao Yuqing's mouth twitched again. Did he think that they were a couple? They were a perfect match, but they were more like handsome men and beautiful women. No, they were just 2 little kids. Well, Mommy really has something to do. Don't make fun of me. This is the delicious food I bought for you. See you tonight. As soon as she finished speaking, Zhao wielded a kiss on Ling and Yan Yang's foreheads, got out of the car with a smile, and left. Zhao Muqing looked at the Sheng's villa in front of her. She didn't want to think about it at all, but she was worried about Sheng Zihao in her heart. She wanted to go in and have a look, but she didn't want to meet Sheng Jiu. She was struggling at the door. When Sheng Zihao came back from outside and saw Zhao Yaqing standing at the door, he obviously couldn't believe it. He rubbed his eyes and took a closer look. Sure enough, it was his Aunt Qing. Aunt Qing! Sheng Zihao shouted and rushed to Zhao Yaqing. He had an inexplicable feeling for her, which made him want to get close to her. Zhao Muqing suddenly turned her head. At this time, Sheng Zihao had already followed her. She chuckled and held Sheng Zihao in her arms. Are you okay with your cold? While talking, Zhao Yaqing's hand was already on Sheng Zihao's forehead. Suddenly, a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth, and it was no longer burning. At the same time, she breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, Sheng Jiu had come back a long time ago. His car had been parked not far away. He had seen what Zhao Yaqing had done just now. The moment he saw her holding Sheng Zihao's forehead, he knew that she really cared about her son. Aunt Qing, let's go in. Sheng Zihao took Zhao Yuqing's hand and walked inside. It was not easy for him to see her, so he wouldn't let her leave so easily. Zhao Yuqing hesitated again. She didn't want to see Sheng Jiu at all, but her heart softened when she saw Sheng Zihao's eager eyes. Aunt Qing has something else to do. I'll come to see Zihao another day, Zhao Yaqing finally couldn't help but say. After that, she looked elsewhere. She didn't want to see Sheng Zihao's disappointed face. Sheng Zihao's hand, which was holding Zhao Yuqing's hand, tightened. Aunt Qing, do you hate my father very much? Sheng Zihao couldn't help asking. He could tell that Zhao Yaqing didn't like his father. When Sheng Jiu, who was about to get closer, heard Sheng Zihao's words, he suddenly stopped, as if he wanted to hear the woman's answer. At this time, a trace of expectation rose in his heart. I don't hate him, but I don't like him. Zhao Yuqing didn't want to hurt Sheng Zihao's heart, so she said that. In fact, she hated Sheng Jiu very much in her heart, and she hated him very much. Sheng Jiu pursed his sexy thin lips tightly. It seemed that he was not satisfied with Zhao Yaqing's words. This woman dared to say that she didn't like him in front of his son. How could she save her face? Sheng Zihao was about to say something when he suddenly felt a cold look behind him. He looked back in reflex. At that moment, he lowered his head and did not dare to look at that look anymore. Zhao Yaqing was obviously shocked. She never thought that she would meet Sheng Jiu as soon as she came here. She didn't want to see this man at all. Zhao Muqing looked at Sheng Zihao and finally turned to leave. She really hated Sheng Jiu and didn't want to see him at all. Since Sheng Zihao was fine now, she would leave. Wait. Sheng Jiu suddenly asked. Although his voice was still cold, it was obvious that he was not angry when he met Zhao Yuqing. However, Zhao Yaqing didn't intend to stop. Who does he think he is? Why should I stop when he asks me to? She proudly walked past Sheng Jiu. Sheng Jiu only gave her an elegant smile. He seemed to have guessed that she would not stop. Don't you need money? As expected, what Sheng Jiu said made Zhao Yuqing suddenly stop. How could he know that she needed money? Was he investigating her? Seeing Zhao Yaqing stop, the smile on Sheng Jiu's face deepened. As long as she needed money, she would ask him for help. Let's talk. Zhao Yaqing suddenly lowered her voice and said. If her father wanted to go out of prison, 10 million was an astronomical figure for her. It was impossible for her to take out so much money, so she wanted to talk to Sheng Jiu. When Sheng Zihao heard that Zhao Yaqing was going to talk to Sheng Jiu, he was also happy. He wondered if Auntie Qing would fall in love with his father. She was the first woman brought back by his father. In the large living room, Sheng Jiu was elegantly sitting on the sofa, leaning against it with his long legs crossed. He looked a little lazy, but he was still noble. Zhao Yaqing sat on the single sofa by the side, feeling a little uneasy because the sofa was the furthest away from Sheng Jiu. Perhaps in her subconscious, she was afraid of Sheng Jiu. What do you want to talk about? Sheng Jiu asked knowingly. Of course, he knew what Zhao Yuqing wanted to ask. If it weren't for the money, she might not have stayed with him alone. Zhao Yuqing gritted her teeth and wanted to borrow money from him, but she couldn't say it. She felt a little ashamed and angry. I remember Mr. Sheng saying that if I need money, I can ask Mr. Sheng for help. Zhao Yuqing summoned up her courage and said. After she finished speaking, she felt that it would be so easy to say these words. Oh. Sheng Jiyu raised his heroic eyebrows slightly, looking as if he had not thought of anything. It was as if he was thinking about something. But I heard from Miss Zhao that she disliked my money? He suddenly opened his thin lips. Yes, he would not forget it so easily. She once said that she disliked his money. Now that he thought about it, what she said was still fresh in his memory. Zhao Yuqing was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect that Sheng Jiyu would say that. He actually bore a grudge. Such a big man should be so narrow-minded. He still remembered what had happened that day. All of a sudden, the room became quiet. The silence made Zhao Yuqing feel as if she had run away. But for the sake of money, she stayed. I was a little excited at that time, so what I said may be out of line. Mr. Shang, please don't take it to heart, Zhao Yuqing said in a low voice. Since she had something to ask of him, she could only bear it. Only when she was willing to yield could she be a wise person. Shang Jiyu nodded meaningfully. He seemed to be satisfied with Zhao Yuqing's answer, but he did not intend to let her go. Of course I don't care. I heard that your father has been in prison for 6 years. He is really pitiful. If he wants to go out of prison, it seems that he still needs 10 million yuan, right? Shang Jiyu asked calmly, with a trace of complacency in his eyes. Looking at this stubborn woman lowering her voice to him, he was satisfied. Zhao Yuqing seemed to be able to feel the sarcasm in Shang Jiyu's tone, and she hated him even more in her heart. Yes, so I want to borrow some money from Mr. Shang. It's nothing in Mr. Shang's eyes. Zhao Yuqing suddenly said, with a trace of expectation in her heart. No matter how much she hated him, she needed his money now. Shang Jiyu played with the teacup in his hand. When he heard Zhao Yuqing's words, he raised his head slightly and looked into her eyes. 10 million is nothing to me, but why should I give it to you? The corners of Shang Jiyu's mouth were slightly raised while he was talking, and even his eyebrows seemed to be smiling. Zhao Yuqing's little hand was still tightly clenched. She knew that he would not give it to her, and she knew that she would be disappointed. After what he had just said, she knew that she could not get the money from Shang Jiyu. I see. Sorry to disturb you, Mr. Shang. Zhao Yuqing turned around gracefully. Since he didn't give her money, she didn't have enough time to waste on him. In fact, I can give you money, but I have a condition, Shang Jiyu suddenly said. Speaking of this, he gently took a sip of the tea in his hand. The heat and cold were just right, and he liked the temperature. Zhao Yuqing had just taken 2 steps when she heard Shang Jiyu's words. She quickly turned around, and her eyes were filled with hope again. Is he willing to give me money? What condition? Zhao Yuqing's tone was obviously better. Once she got the money, she could save her father, and she would be inexplicably delighted. Shang Jiyu put down his teacup, suddenly stood up and approached Zhao Yuqing. Obviously, Zhao Yuqing didn't expect that Shang Jiyu would suddenly come to her. She subconsciously took 2 steps back, and her heart became nervous at this moment. Shang Jiyu stopped when he was close to Zhao Yuqing. Zhao Yuqing seemed to be able to feel the scent of lemon on Shang Jiyu's body. It smelled good, but at this moment, it made her very scared. Be my lover for a month. He admitted that he was full of interest in her now, but a month was enough to make him lose interest in her, so he bought her for a month with 10 million yuan. What? Zhao Yuqing opened her mouth but didn't say anything in the end. She instinctively took 2 steps back. At that moment, her expectation disappeared in an instant. She raised her stubborn face and looked straight at Shang Jiyu. Mr. Shang, if you are in need of women, you can go to the pub. There should be a lot of women waiting for you there. Yes, a rich and handsome man like him may be surrounded by those women. Shang Jiyu was still approaching Zhao Muqing. This woman was so stubborn that she liked to take advantage of her tongue. He smelled the lily fragrance on her body and couldn't help but think of that night, which made him crazy and obsessed with the night. Her body gave him a feeling that he had never had before and made him obsessed with this body. I'm only interested in you. Shang Jiu blew lightly, and the hot breath immediately fell into Jiao Yuqing's ears, making her body couldn't help trembling, and her body couldn't help but tense up. I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in Mr. Shang at all. Jiao Yuqing's tone obviously became a little stiff, with a trace of anger. She wanted to escape from him, but there was no way to retreat, so she could only calm herself down. Shang Jiu looked at Jiao Yuqing in front of him with an evil smile and suddenly turned to leave in front of her. Jiao Yuqing felt a flash in front of her eyes, and the pressure in front of her suddenly disappeared. She couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. In that case, you can go now. But it won't be easy to talk to me next time, Shang Jiu said slowly. He had already sat on the sofa leisurely. He seemed to have expected that Jiao Yuqing would come to him again,